Welcome to the Alsandor Law Podcast, your go-to resource for demystifying family law with experience and empathy by your side. Hosted by attorney Cheryl Alsandor, founder and lead attorney at the Alsandor Law Firm and a board-certified family law specialist. Together with attorney Cheryl, delve into the intricate world of divorce, child custody, and more, sharing valuable insights, expert interviews, and real-life stories to support you on your family's legal journey. No matter what challenges come your way, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. Join us and let us help you find clarity amidst the legal maze, paving the way for a brighter future.
Welcome to another episode of the Alsandor Family Law Podcast, where we break down key issues in family law. I am Cheryl Alsandor, Houston, Texas board certified family law attorney, and I'm here with my co-host, Brandi Spaich.
Hello.
Today we're tackling an important topic, why it's essential to ask your lawyer questions rather than relying on attorney Google for family law advice.
All right. Well, thank you for having me back here. I think the first really big question, it's very tempting, I think, for people to go to Google. It's immediate responses. A lot of people don't exactly know how to go through and research things from reputable sources. So, overall, why shouldn't someone rely on those instant responses from Google and rather wait for their attorney?
Well, first of all, family law is really complicated and it varies from state to state, even by county. I'm here in Harris County, Texas. We serve other counties, and so we have to check local rules. And so if you're just Googling and you see an answer that sounds great and you don't pay attention to which state that the information came from or which county that it came from, you can really hurt your case. There are a lot of nuances in family law. And so I've had people say to me just recently, hey, so and so said that they served me and I got it by email. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think you can be served with citation or served with notice of a new lawsuit by email. But in this particular state, for this particular type of legal issue, email service was appropriate. And so, in that case, when the person went looking online to get the answer, they could have come up with the wrong answer if they were looking in the wrong state. They needed to look in the state of that case instead of looking in our state. And so that's an example of how laws can vary from state to state. So it's really important that you talk to your lawyer and you make sure you're getting information for your relevant state,
Right.
as well as your relevant county. Oftentimes, too, what we find online is outdated, or sometimes just simply wrong. Whoever wrote it, who knows why they were writing it, or maybe at the time they wrote it, it was good information. And so the better thing to do is to talk to your family law lawyer who's going to go to your, or rather rely upon the current law and give you the answer that you're needing. And, again, with regard to law being outdated, Texas family law changes often, at least every other year, if not more frequently. And so, you definitely want to have someone that's keeping abreast of the current changes in the law when you're getting your advice. And Attorney Google doesn't always do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of good reasons there. And so obviously, we've set up it's not great to go to Google for legal advice. So what would some of the biggest risks be to misinterpreting some legal information they find online when it comes to the courtroom?
Right. So, every family law case is different. Because we're all different, we're all unique. And so, with no two cases being alike, you have to be careful of the resources that you're relying on. And so, what you find on Google might sort of paint everything with like a broad brushstroke. whereas your case needs a small, stroke to address your specific individual need. And so if you rely upon bad advice, you may end up harming your case because you start taking actions that you think are okay and they're really not okay. They're illegal. Well, I heard I can record in this state. Well, actually, you can't. Maybe you're in another state and you can record as long as you're party to the call. So you have to be very careful that the information you're seeing on Google is meeting your specific needs.
Mhm.
And then on the other hand, you can end up with information that's not even relevant. And you just fill your head with law that doesn't even apply to you. You start getting facts together and pictures and text messages to support this law that doesn't even apply to you.
Right.
And so the biggest thing I see is, using wrong information or irrelevant information may cause, a client to take the wrong steps in their case
Mhm.
and hurt their case. And that's what you really want to avoid more than anything. You don't want to get on Google for information and you end up getting bad or outdated information and then you hurt your case because that's really what you were trying to avoid and you end up stepping right into it.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a very got to be very careful with it. So, how would you say asking your attorney directly versus Google would provide a better outcome than using, the online information from Google?
So if you ask your attorney the question directly, then your attorney can do a lot. Your attorney can give you specific legal information that addresses your issue. And then your attorney can ask you about facts. And I tend to do that. A client tells me, "Hey, I want to do this thing." And they tell me what their goal is. I want to get custody of my son, or I want to make sure I'm able to manage the business even after the divorce is over.
Mhm.
And so I started asking questions. I started thinking about the law. Then I started getting information to apply the law. And that's the benefit of having your very own lawyer, because your very own lawyer, their job is to protect you
Mhm.
and find out what's going on with you. And so I'm going to get information and then I'm going to apply your information to the law and then I'm going to tell it to you. And I want to make sure that you understand it. I've been doing this for 26 years. So some of the stuff, is just second nature to me. And I have to make sure that my client understands what I mean by service of process or nunc pro tunc or some of these other phrases that, I as a lawyer may be comfortable with, but I want to be able to explain to my client what it means. And every client has different questions. There's some clients I start explaining things to and they say, "I already know that." I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
tell me what questions you have." And they have something more complicated or they have something that I couldn't have even imagined had been a question. So when you're able to have that one-on-one with your lawyer can not only make sure that the proper laws apply to your facts, but your lawyer can also, answer your questions, which is very important to do.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I want our clients to be aware of and want really anyone to be aware of who's engaging in a family law case, it's that you're a team. You and your law firm are a team. And so we are only as good as each other are. So I need to make sure I'm getting information and questions and giving clarification to my clients so my clients clear on what's going on, they're comfortable, and then I have the information I need to adequately represent them because the lawyer, we're advocates for our client. We are fighting for our client. We're stepping into their shoes. We're upholding their rights and applying the law. So if I don't know what my client wants or if I don't know what the questions are that they have, I don't do a good job representing my client, and then that team relationship is not working very well.
Mhm. That makes a lot of sense. Now, I feel that another reason, maybe some people would want to turn to Google rather than their attorney is they may have, questions that they feel are embarrassing to ask or they feel very overwhelmed, and it's just easier to go to the search engine that they know doesn't have any thoughts about them. So, how would you handle questions from clients who might feel kind of embarrassed or overwhelmed?
Right. So that's normal. Your family law attorney, at least most family law attorneys, good ones, and I believe 100% I'm a good one. We know that when you go through that family law case, it's overwhelming. It's not something you do normally. That's why your clients say a lot, oh, I don't do this normally. And I'm like, good, you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got you. You can come. There's no question that's too big. There's no question that's too small. I think most of our clients feel vulnerable, especially, those clients who have big responsibilities in their life or they're used to handling a lot. They encounter this family law case and they're like, oh my God, I don't know this stuff. And then you start getting on attorney Google. That's what the client does. Well, I want to know. So I'm going to get on attorney Google and find out. And so I say back up. It's okay to be vulnerable to your attorney. It's okay to share concerns, questions, worries. That helps me as a lawyer to get the right information from you, to direct your case, direct the strategy. Oh, this client's really concerned about harassing behavior at the exchange location. Maybe we can build something into the order to protect the client from that. So be vulnerable with your lawyer. That's part of being part of that good team, the legal team of you and of your lawyer. Be vulnerable with your lawyer. Share all of your concerns with your lawyer. There's nothing too silly or too basic. We're here to help you and to provide you with a judgment-free space so that you can have your legal questions answered. This is your life. And it's your life and your future we're talking about. So as you move through the legal process, please don't be ashamed to ask your attorney a question. And there's even trust issues. And that's why people go to Google. Your attorney may tell you something you don't want to hear. And so you don't want to do. And so you start looking for other options, which is normal. So I say to those clients or those people who are in family law cases, if you're looking for different options because you don't like what your lawyer is saying, look, fine, but be sure to go back to your lawyer and say, hey, I found something new on the internet with attorney Google. Could this be an option? Might this work? Okay, let your lawyer know what you're thinking, what's going on, and then your lawyer can direct you accordingly because we too want you to be successful.
Right. And it feels like, a good comparison is like you wouldn't, with like a therapist or doctor, you wouldn't worry too much about a small or silly question because it's your
Correct.
health. Why
Correct.
worry about that with your lawyer when it's almost the health of your family on the line, at least mentally and emotionally?
Correct. It's your rights. It's your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's people who are dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, how do you personally help your clients stay informed about all these legal processes, all these complicated things without them turning to Google?
Right. So we try to follow a format. And so with our clients, when they retain us, we normally talk about the process. Now, when our clients retain us, they're oftentimes at different places. For some clients, it's the beginning of their case and we're starting the case. For other clients, the case has already begun. They were served with papers and we need to talk about what's next. For others, they're switching lawyers and we're coming in the middle of a case or maybe towards the end and we've got to figure out, what's gone on and what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so normally I will talk with each client in our post-hire meeting about the process. What's going to come next? What are we about to do for you? And what can you expect from us? There's also, for most cases, they follow a basic timeline where they start off with a petition. Sometimes we have what we call temporary orders or interim orders to hold the parties until we can get to a final order. And then we have a discovery phase where we're gathering information from the other party, from third parties like banks or schools. And then I let every client know too that when you start facing some of the bigger events like hearings or trials or mediations, we prepare for those as well. We strategize, and our team will prep you to make sure if you're going to testify that you know what's coming to you, you know how to answer those questions, and that you're as comfortable as one can be on the witness stand.
Right.
And so, that's really, the preparation aspect of it. And then as we prepare, as we go over the next steps, for instance, in the post hire meeting, or we go over preparation for a mediation or a trial. If a client is ever unsure about what they're hearing from their lawyer, definitely 100% ask. You
Mhm.
can get a quick answer when you're having a conversation with your lawyer that pertains to you, that's unique to you. So even if it's legal terminology, that's a big one because we lawyers will get used to acronyms and
Mhm.
terms and we'll throw them around like everyone's supposed to know them. But that's okay. Stop your lawyer. Stop us. What is a SAP, sir? We say that all the time in our family law world. And we have to break it down. Oh, that's suit affecting the parent child relationship. And sometimes it's a repeater, meaning, hey, I've explained this before, but sometimes my clients will say, I'm learning so much. I forgot. I know you told me. And that's okay. That's normal. We lawyers know that. This is what we do every day. But for you, hopefully it's a once in a lifetime thing and you never have to face it again.
Right.
So if you've asked about legal terminology before and you have a question again, ask it again. It is okay. Court decisions are really important. So sometimes our judges, they don't make a ruling right when you're done with court. So the judge might email us the ruling or they may write it on their docket sheet and our team will send it to our client. And then if you have questions, just let us know. Times we'll have a phone call to break down what all of it means. And sometimes it's really self-explanatory. So even if you have a question and your lawyer has sent you information and you're thinking, well, my lawyer sent this to me, but I still have a question, don't hesitate to reach out. At our firm, our clients, they're able to communicate with us in their own portal. And so we'll get back to them and answer their questions. And if they want to call, they want to have a discussion, we'll do that too.
Mhm.
So when you get court orders, if you don't understand them, it's very, very, very important to let your lawyer know. We don't want to assume that you know
Right.
and you have a question. There's no question that's too big or too small. The only inappropriate question is the one that you don't ask.
Mhm.
So 100% you want to make sure that you communicate with your lawyer so your lawyer can go over that process with you.
Yeah. I think that last part's definitely important because I know people even older than my age that that haven't been into any of these court things before think that their whole
Mhm.
thing with their attorney and their lawyer stops as soon as that order is sent out and that they can't
Right.
ask any more questions after that. And it's very important, I think, to let people know that that is not how that works.
Yeah, and that's true because your order, if you violate an order, you can get in trouble with the court. You can
Hmm.
be held in contempt of court. You might even end up in jail.
Hmm.
So it's very important that you understand what your obligations are, with regard to an order. What am I supposed to do? A lot of times it is self-explanatory or it's been negotiated like in mediation,
Hmm.
so you already know. But even though you may have been to mediation or even though you may have attended a trial and you think oftentimes we put extra things in court orders that have not been discussed because they're required by law.
Right.
And so if you see something, you're not sure about it, don't hesitate to have that conversation with your lawyer. For most of our clients, they want to be done. They're like, "Oh, I'm
Hmm.
done. I don't want to talk about it anymore." But don't, take advantage of your lawyer while your case is still open.
Right.
And even when your case is over, I've had clients call me later and they say, "Hey, we're trying to interpret this order. It's summertime and we don't understand." And so I'll set, usually it's like a 10-minute call and we'll kind of go over the question and answer. So, our job is to guide you through the process, and we want to explain things to you. We want you to understand. Most family lawyers like helping people, and
Hmm.
that's why we do what we do. So, if you have a question about your order, even if you think it's something you're supposed to already know, ask the question.
Right. Very important. So, do you have any either examples that are paraphrased? Because I know you got to be careful with exactly how you say things. But do you have any examples of where relying on Google almost harmed a client's case, but asking their lawyer definitely saved that?
I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. In fact, client specific, but the issues that typically come up are usually with visitation. Do I have to let my child go? They don't want to go visit with the other parent. I read somewhere that, or
Mm-hmm.
I saw on the internet that, and we're saying Google, but it can be any information on the internet. We're saying Google, but we just mean anywhere on the internet, even social media. So you want to be careful of what you're seeing on there. But I would say when it comes to your rights, what can you do?
Right.
Especially
Right.
when you want to violate an order, like,
Yeah.
well, that
Definitely got to be
visitation.
careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful when it comes to finding things on the internet that give you permission to disobey your order. Oh, I'm not going to surrender my child at school because I read on the internet. Mm-mm-mm.
Right.
Or, I don't have to pay that child support because. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Right.
So anything like that, where you find yourself changing your rights or changing your responsibilities because you read something on the internet, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Run to your lawyer and ask the question so that you don't get yourself in trouble. Because if you're obligated to do something in a court order and you don't do it, again, you can be held in contempt of court.
Right.
You can be fined. You might have to pay the other person's attorney's fees. It's not good.
Right. So, I mean, I think my last question here is, what are some questions that pretty well every client should go ahead and ask their attorney early on in the process?
Right. So, you don't want to replace your lawyer's professional advice with the internet. So, when you've got issues, of course, regarding your children, custody, as I've referenced before, child support, even finances, people oftentimes, this is a common one, while the case is pending, can I take money out of my retirement account? Can I spend money out of the bank account?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that depends. I mean, it depends on the order that's in place. If we have a standard restraining order in place, you normally can spend money for reasonable and necessary living expenses. But that doesn't mean you go on a shopping spree or you go buy new real estate. So, when it comes to finances and spending, especially during a case, that's going to be very important. Take that issue to your lawyer, not the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health conditions. There's a lot of great information out on the internet regarding mental health conditions, and we need that information. But when you're talking about the other party or even yourself that has a mental health condition and you've got a case open, talk to your lawyer about how that mental health condition can affect the outcome of the case and what you should be doing, especially even addictions. That is a mental health condition. And so that might be something that a client might be ashamed of, but your lawyer needs to know about it
Mm-hmm.
because, believe it or not, judges see this stuff all the time. And there's some great ways to handle addictions and mental health conditions. Don't be ashamed of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Even medical conditions, physical conditions, learning abilities or learning unique learning needs
Mm-hmm.
like autism, or we're dealing with that a lot. You want to share those things with your lawyer so you and your lawyer can collaborate, can be a team, and your lawyer can give you, your unique strategy, your unique plan to deal with those issues in your case. So, relying on a knowledgeable family law attorney ensures that your rights are going to be protected, your interests are going to be fully protected, and your legal needs are going to be met. We are here to guide you through every step of the process. That's our job. And so, some people are more needy than others. We understand that. We lawyers see that. But you've hired us to do a job. Help us to help you. So I would say, I won't say stay away from the internet, but if you see something on the internet that you want to do or you want to follow, just have a discussion with your lawyer. And I love to explain to my clients why what they heard or saw, hey, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Or, hey, that's a great idea if you didn't have these other facts.
Right.
And the client, whoa. So definitely speak to your attorney about your unique circumstances because we're all unique and you are. We all know we're different.
Mm-hmm.
And let the legal process be given to you by your lawyer.
Yes, and definitely exactly what you said. Like, it's okay to want to look things up and try to educate yourself, but it's always important to go to the professional and double check that that information is correct. And I mean, I know I relate a lot of these things back to like doctors and stuff like that, but I mean, it's a pretty common joke of Dr. Google is going to tell
Right.
you you're dying, regardless of what you type in. And you're not going to let that slide. You'll go and talk to your doctor about those issues. So
Right.
it's the same kind of idea here. Go and talk to your lawyer about what you found. So,
That's correct. And nothing's too big or small. And yeah, your lawyer has some education, this JD and all this stuff, but it's just information that we have that maybe you don't have, and we want to share it. So just share and ask questions. We are your resource.
all right. Well, that's not all I've got. So thank you for sitting
All
here
right.
and helping unpack all of that.
Very good. Thank you so much. And if you have more questions or you want to learn more about family law in Houston, please, feel free to reach out to our law firm. And remember, don't Google it, but ask your lawyer. If you found this session today to be helpful, please subscribe to our podcast, leave a review, and share it with others who might benefit from this information. So we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Alsandor Law Podcast. If you need expert legal representation for matters about family law, the Houston Family Law Team at the Alsandor Law Firm is here to help. Visit alsandorlaw.com to learn more. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review our show and share it with others who might benefit from the conversations. Join us next week as we continue to explore crucial family law topics. Stay resilient and know that we're committed to supporting you every step of your journey.